Have you heard the rumor that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston had an affair that ended his marriage? People that I respect, some that I even love, who may or may not watch this show.
When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
Was Barack Obama's presidency just a picture-perfect mirage, hiding layers the public was never supposed to see? That's the question, lighting up timelines all over again. Old rumors resurfacing with fresh bite, and nobody sparked it louder than Katt Williams. In one of his now viral stand-up sets, Katt didn't just tease. He ripped straight through the polished image of America's first black president. While plenty applauded Obama for his charm and composure, Katt went totally off script, calling him a white-friendly black man, a carefully packaged product made to please the mainstream crowd, not the real streets he once claimed to represent. That wasn't just comedy, that was a straight-up statement. And yeah, Katt made people laugh, but he also made them pause. Was the Obama we saw truly a leader for the people, or a well-crafted brand cooked up for public consumption?
Biden and Obama hate each other because Michelle Obama is very good friends with Hunter Biden's ex-wife. So that's led to a significant problem where they don't like Hunter, and if you don't like Hunter, Joe doesn't like you. So I would not be surprised if Holmes is right on with this of like, oh, well, why don't we do this?
It's like, oh man, you give us problems, maybe you can have a problem or two.
But Katt wasn't done throwing shade. He leaned into the idea that there were bigger, unseen forces shaping the whole thing. Straight up cultural engineering. He made it clear he believed Obama's time in the White House, for all the hope and inspiration, wasn't really about shaking the system. It was about keeping it in check. And now, years later, those once dismissed jabs don't sound like dusty old punchlines anymore. They're hitting different and way harder. They're starting to look like warning signs now. As America wrestles with the social shockwaves left behind from the Obama years, one debate has blown up like a volcano: the push for LGBTQ mentors in schools, and what it really reveals about the priorities shaped during his time in power.
They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about. They tell you that themselves.
For some, the connection is crystal clear. Critics have been saying for years that Obama pushed what they called a pro-homosexuality agenda, a loaded label, sure, but one that keeps circling back through conservative talk shows and forums. Under his watch, LGBTQ visibility went from subtle to front page overnight. Think rainbow-lit White House nights, federal protections, and headline-grabbing policy moves. Depending on who you ask, those changes were either long overdue or way over the line. Fast forward to today's classrooms, and the fight isn't about whether kids should learn about diversity. It's about whether mentors should be specifically picked because of their LGBTQ identity. Is that true inclusion, or something more like targeted influence? Was this shift just a natural evolution in culture, or was it a carefully laid blueprint set in motion years ago? Then, like tossing gasoline on a roaring fire, came the most notorious street-side interview of Joan Rivers' career. Just weeks before a routine throat procedure that ended in tragedy, Joan looked straight at a reporter and casually dropped what she claimed was an open secret. Without missing a beat, she said, "We already have a homosexual president. You know Michelle is a transgender." The fallout? Pure chaos. Some brushed it off with an eye roll, while others nearly fell out of their chairs in shock. But there was a quiet crowd that didn't laugh. They leaned in. Joan Rivers didn't flinch, didn't backpedal, and when the reporter pushed her to explain herself, she doubled down with an almost chilling calm. A transgender, we all know. That one little phrase, we all know, had people buzzing. What exactly did she mean by that? And maybe the bigger question, what gave her the confidence to say it so bluntly, on camera for the world to hear?
Not to add insult to injury, but there's a Daily Mail report out today saying Kamala Harris's marriage may be on the rocks. Like everybody's on the rocks. Again, I will say I love the Daily Mail, but the sourcing appeared weak. It was like people who know the couple, but like I don't know if it's any better than that. But they're saying she's blaming him in part for her loss because he turned out to be such a hot mess liability. You buy it?
Now, Joan was no stranger to stirring the pot. She roasted anyone and everyone, offended just about every group at least once, and wore her bans from networks like trophies. But this wasn't a punchline about a bad dress or a botched nose job. This was a direct hit at the core of the Obamas' public image. And then, less than 2 months later, Joan was gone. Not from some drawn-out illness, not from anything you'd see coming, but from a so-called routine medical procedure. According to later investigations, her oxygen levels dropped sharply, her vitals tanked, and nobody acted quickly enough. Coincidence? That's one story. But there's another one, much darker. The internet went wild. Conspiracy watchers claimed it was no accident at all, calling it an assassination by neglect. Their theory? Joan said something she wasn't supposed to, and somebody made sure she'd never spill another word. Adding to the suspicion was the fact that the procedure she underwent was allegedly unauthorized. And the clinic admitted fault in a malpractice settlement with her daughter, Melissa. Officially, the Obamas were never linked to her death. Not even close. In fact, President Obama sent Melissa a handwritten condolence letter praising Joan's humor and brilliance. But that only fueled more whispers. Because if the claims were total nonsense, why address them with such public grace? To some, that was just good manners. To others, it felt like something more calculated. To some, that wasn't kindness, it was pure damage control.
It is true. It truly would be a political earthquake in
Yes.
Democrat circles. Never mind America. I don't remember a presidential divorce in modern history.
And Joan wasn't the only one throwing stones at the polished Obama image. A resurfaced interview from Larry Sinclair, a convicted con man with a long rap sheet of wild claims, came roaring back into the spotlight. Sinclair dusted off an old story from the late 90s claiming he crossed paths with Barack Obama in a bar, that they indulged in a substance that rhymes with Cain, and that the night ended in a hotel room with far more than just small talk. Is Sinclair the kind of guy you'd bet your life on in court? Not a chance. But the moment he reappeared, the timing felt shady. Tucker Carlson put him on air, online forums blew up, and suddenly Joan's words were echoing again. Only now they hit with a sharper sting. Whether anyone buys these stories or not, one thing's for sure. The smoke hasn't cleared, and that's exactly why the fire still burns. Because this isn't just about who Obama was. It's about the legacy he left behind. That LGBTQ mentorship debate we see in schools today, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. It's been brewing quietly for over a decade. So was this the hope and change people thought they were voting for? Or was it the tiny fine print nobody bothered to read?
Obamas, because there seems to be some momentum picking up in the rumor mill about their marriage. All right, I'm going to bring you what I know.
And then came the whispers, the kind that start in shady comment sections and somehow end up spilling onto talk radio. Claims that Barack and Michelle aren't really together anymore, that they're living separate lives, and that Michelle skipped both Trump's inauguration and Jimmy Carter's funeral because allegedly she just couldn't fake the happy couple routine anymore. But what happens when the rumor mill starts stitching all those pieces together? When Joan Rivers' final on-camera words stop sounding like a quick joke and start feeling like a straight-up confession? When the question shifts from if the Obamas are hiding something to how deep that something really runs. Because here's the part that's got the internet in a chokehold. It's not just what Joan said, it's how she said it. She dropped the line like it was common knowledge, like the public had been looking right at it and somehow refused to see. And when the reporter pushed her to explain, she didn't stutter. "It's okay," she said. "It's not a bad thing." Then she turned and walked off. No smirk, no wink. Just a cold, clean mic drop. Could her sudden death, just weeks after that explosive moment, really be chalked up to pure bad luck? Or was there something else at play? What if her so-called joke wasn't a joke at all, but a warning hidden in plain sight?
There is no truth.
There is
It
no
untrue.
truth.
You know Barack Obama.
I've met him once.
Met him once.
I know Michelle more than him.
What is there a truth?
That is not true.
Digging deeper into Joan's final hours makes the whole thing even murkier. Federal health investigators revealed that the clinic handling her routine procedure wasn't even properly equipped to handle major complications, and that wasn't the only red flag. The anesthetic dosage, reportedly higher than it should have been. Her vitals dropping for minutes before anyone moved, and here's the wildest part. Doctors allegedly started a procedure she never even signed off on. We're talking about one of the most famous women in the country in a New York City facility, And somehow, protocols got tossed out the window. Steps were skipped and warning signs were ignored. If that doesn't raise eyebrows, what will? How likely is it that a world-famous, sharp-tongued icon just drops out of life over what's labeled as an avoidable mistake? And it happens only weeks after she takes a public swing at one of the most protected couples in American politics. Maybe we're connecting dots that don't exist, but maybe, just maybe, we're not. Because when someone as loud, fearless, and unfiltered as Joan Rivers suddenly goes silent under such cloudy circumstances, it's only natural to ask, did her mouth cost her more than just a gig? And the bigger question, what else was she gearing up to spill? She had already called Obama our first homosexual president and flat out declared on camera that Michelle is a transgender. We all know, not believe, not guess, know, and then silence, permanent silence. Unanswered questions still linger like smoke that just won't clear. Who let an unlicensed doctor take selfies with her while she was unconscious? Why did surveillance footage from the clinic mysteriously vanish during the investigation? And how in the world does a routine outpatient visit spiral into a full-blown medical disaster with not a single person facing criminal charges?
They are looking forward. All the women in your life are
All the
looking
women in
forward.
my life are looking forward to being able to, live a more normal life.
Yeah, entirely normal. Obviously, everybody's under the microscope at all
A little
times.
bit more.
And you're staying in Washington, D.C., which is unusual for an exiting president.
But this isn't just about Joan, not anymore. This rabbit hole dives straight into Hollywood's brightest lights. Because if Obama wasn't just a president, but a cultural architect, then maybe his real stage wasn't the Oval Office, it was the entertainment industry. Over the years, film and television flipped almost overnight. Stories once pushed to the sidelines suddenly exploded into mainstream dominance. Inclusion wasn't just encouraged, it became a must-have, an industry non-negotiable. And while that shift was wrapped in sequins, drenched in rainbows, and sold as pure progress, some insiders have started asking if this movement was truly natural or masterfully choreographed from behind the scenes. And one name keeps bubbling back to the surface, Jennifer Aniston. Now be real, nobody saw that pairing coming. Yet somehow the tabloids couldn't get enough of it. Whispers swirled about Obama and Aniston sharing more than just a few production meetings, and before long, a checkout aisle headline snowballed into late-night TV punchlines. Eventually, Aniston herself stepped in to kill the story, telling Jimmy Kimmel it was absolutely untrue, before casually adding that she's only met Obama once and actually knows Michelle better. A clean denial, sure, but it didn't totally kill the static. Because even with her quote on record, the rumors didn't just fade, they evolved. And now, the question isn't whether Jen and Barack were some secret item, it's whether their alleged link had nothing to do with romance at all.
A couple of weeks ago, the truth about Jen and Barack. Now, that is,
That's kind of, that was, of all the calls you get from your...
See, Obama's post-White House life has been anything but quiet. Through his media company, Higher Ground Productions, he's signed big money deals with streaming giants, launched documentaries, and slid right into the heart of content creation. Jennifer Aniston, with her Apple TV hits, her squeaky clean charm, and her reputation as Hollywood's ultimate everywoman, fits the bill for someone with serious cultural pull. So is it really so wild to think that pairing two of the most trusted public figures, one political, one cultural, could be a strategic move? In a world where public trust is pure gold, Obama and Aniston are like Fort Knox. And if carefully crafted narratives can shape votes, values, and even personal identity, who better to deliver them than Hollywood's elite inner circle? And here's where people start to shift in their seats. Because if Obama's years in the White House were only Act 1, Hollywood might just be Act 2, not policy through politics, but persuasion through storytelling. A whole generation raised on Netflix, Hulu, and endless prestige TV binges might not even realize how often political ideals slip right into the shows they love. Was it just chance that progressive themes suddenly flooded primetime right as Obama stepped off the political stage and walked straight into the media world? Or were those values always part of a bigger play? just waiting for the perfect producers, platforms, and polished faces to sell them.
In the school she currently attends, and our attitude is that if you have a teenager and you really want to make sure that they never talk to you again, then pull them out of high school right in the middle.
Yeah, you're right.
Of sophomore year. So look, they've made so many sacrifices.
They have, and they didn't get to decide that.
Exactly. So I want to make sure that they get.
According to several longtime Hollywood insiders, speaking strictly off the record, Obama's reach in Tinseltown goes way deeper than anyone guessed. From who gets cast to which storylines make it past the cutting room floor. Some believe the former president has quietly helped build a cultural alliance, a behind-the-scenes brain trust made up of A-listers, showrunners, and producers, all pushing the same mission. Whether that mission is genuine or carefully scripted, that's where things get messy. Even casual viewers have noticed the pattern. Projects loaded with social messaging get fast-tracked to award season, showered with glowing reviews, and handed viral marketing boosts most filmmakers could only dream of. And if the hand behind that curtain belongs to a former president with a production company and a global megaphone, well, it wouldn't be the first time soft power shaped cold, hard reality. Meanwhile, the personal rumors keep shifting shapes. Divorce whispers, political rifts, Michelle going solo at key events, her absences from big moments like Carter's funeral or Trump's inauguration, still unexplained. And when she does appear with Barack, some fans swear they spot subtle shifts in body language that tell a different story. Then came the podcast drop, not from some fringe blog, but from well-connected Washington insiders, casually claiming the Obamas' lives separate lives. And when a source like that talks, people don't just scroll past, they lean in.
Going high is not losing the urgency or the passion or the rage, especially when you are justified in it. Going high means finding the purpose in your rage. You know, rage without reason, without a plan, without direction is just more rage.
Just as the chatter about the Obamas' marriage and their supposed grip on Hollywood was hitting a fever pitch, another name came crawling back into the headlines. Larry Sinclair. His decades-old claims, once tossed aside by mainstream outlets as the ramblings of an unreliable man, clawed their way back into the spotlight thanks to alt-media hype and a headline-grabbing sit-down with a major political commentator. Sinclair's story, a late-night limousine ride through a freezing Chicago in 1999, long before Barack Obama was a household name, fueled by a substance that rhymes with Cain, and ending in something far from platonic. The account was graphic, lurid, and wildly specific. Sure, his credibility was shredded back in the day, but the timing of his sudden reappearance now, that's what has people's eyebrows climbing. What makes this twist sting isn't just the content, it's the implication that there might be entire chapters of Obama's pre-fame life that were scrubbed, sanitized, or locked away. Back then, the press was quick to write Sinclair off as a convicted con man who even failed a live polygraph test at a press conference. But here's the strange part. The coverage stopped right there. No follow-up investigations, no deeper digging, no independent checks, just a hard stop. And that's what fuels suspicion today, because maybe it wasn't just a hoax being killed. Maybe it was something too dangerous to let breathe. True or not, the idea that even a sliver of Sinclair's tale could be real is enough to crack open a Pandora's box the public hasn't even begun to process. Because if even a fragment of Obama's past was deliberately swept under the rug, what else might still be hidden from view?
No, it is not.
No?
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, what I learned in those 8 years is that home is where we make it, and we were in the White House for 8 years, but it wasn't the house, it was us in it. It was us for each other, and we just moved that to another house.
So how much else have we never been told? In an age where every celebrity slip-up goes viral in hours, how did someone as globally watched as Barack Obama skate past this storm for over a decade? Whether Larry Sinclair is just a smooth-talking fabricator or a silenced whistleblower, his tale taps into something much bigger. The fear that we're not just looking at a polished political brand, we're living inside the echo of a story where the most crucial pages were never even printed. And just when it feels like the storm might die down, it roars back to life. Meghan McCain, and daughter of the late U.S. Senator and no stranger to Washington drama, went on air and said she'd heard whispers of an Obama divorce from very serious journalists, not tabloids, not gossip bloggers, people who actually move in those circles. Pile onto that the resurfaced claims from right-wing commentators that Jennifer Aniston has been quietly spotted at private Obama gatherings, and suddenly it all starts to feel a lot less like pure fantasy and more like the kind of story nobody dares verify out loud.
Rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack. At first, it seemed ridiculous, but the rumors have remained steady among New York.
Here's the strange thing. For every denial, a fresh breadcrumb shows up. A curious Instagram post, a mysteriously skipped event, an odd shift in body language, and that's the gasoline on the fire. Because let's be real, Americans love their power couples, but they love a scandal even more. And when that couple built their brand on unity, dignity, and transparency, even the faintest whiff of betrayal doesn't just feel personal. It feels like a national bruise that everyone wants to poke. But maybe the real story here isn't about divorce papers, Instagram hand-holding, or whispers in the comment sections. Maybe it's about power, the kind that doesn't need an Oval Office or a campaign trail to flex. Maybe Obama's true legacy isn't the speeches, the laws, or those 8 years in Washington. Maybe it's the influence he still wields quietly through the very platforms meant to entertain us, while slipping ideas straight into the way we think, vote, and live. Because one thing's clear, Barack Obama's presidency might be in the history books, but the ripple effect of his reach, that's still moving and maybe stronger than ever. So here's the question. Are we actually ready to face the truth about his legacy, or have we barely scratched the surface of a perfectly polished illusion? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is this all just coincidence, or are the signs way too loud to ignore? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and keep this conversation alive. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay curious, and always look twice.